The Champions League is the best in terms to entertainment, and it's the game week 6, the last game week that we can do, and maybe we will hint on winners' predictions, but we're going to run through every group fast, but let us know in the comment section down below your predictions and who do you think will win in each of the games that we'll be giving our thoughts, people, okay? So on Group A, Breton, we've got an interesting one with Man United playing Bayern Munich and Copenhagen Galatasaray. What are we thinking on these ones, Breton?
Well, the Copenhagen Galatasaray, I think they could agree to tie or draw, maybe, except there's the Europa League to fight for. So I'm not entirely sure. It's Champions League knockout or Europa League if they tie, right? I don't know which one gets which, but that is the game to be watching. Galatasaray is going to have to get it done. They have refound their form, but now they got to do it in Copenhagen. But Manchester United, I was trying to figure out if they've ever finished bottom in a Champions League group before, because I don't see how this gets done, right? How they fight their way. They actually do have a chance. They need they need both teams to tie, and then they need to beat Bayern at Old Trafford. I suppose that's possible, but we have to remember what Bayern is now coming off of. They're coming off of a 5-1 loss in which Eintracht Frankfurt put together just a wonderful showing and capitalized on every individual mistake, making people question Thomas Tuchel, making people question his relationship with the board, making people question Joshua Kimmich and Leon Goretzka. I mean, there are a lot of questions now in the Bayern camp, and they're not even that far off of a Bundesliga, the perch.
Lucky one.
But they're going to come in, and this isn't good news for Manchester United at all. They're going to come in absolutely perturbed, angry at themselves. And Old Trafford, having just witnessed one of the worst losses all season, 3-0 to the hands of Bournemouth.
First win ever at Bournemouth in Old Trafford.
Oh my gosh. And they're the last of the existing Premier League teams. Bournemouth is the last of the existing Premier League teams to get a win over Manchester United at Old Trafford.
Oof.
The last. All 20 now have a win at Old Trafford. But listen, the only way for Manchester United, if you want one of these moments where you turn the rock over, right? Or you turn the pillow to the cooler side of the pillow, and you start over here, this is it. This is the time. This is, get your head out of your butt and figure out a way to get this win against the Bayern team that's licking their own wounds now.
It's true. A Bayern team that benches Thomas Müller, a Bayern team that has question marks with Thomas Tuchel, a Bayern team that says we don't have the best manager in the Bundesliga, because we all know that manager is Xabi Alonso and not Thomas Tuchel, which that will be a big motivator. Where will Xabi Alonso go? Liverpool? No, for sure Klopp will stay. Real Madrid or Bayern Munich. That is the doubt. But in this group, I believe Man United is a mandatory win, as you're saying, or at least a draw in order to get Europa League, even if they don't win. And I think Galatasaray will beat Copenhagen away. I believe in Zaha. I believe in Icardi. I believe in Torreira. They've got a lot of stars that want to prove themselves. And they went to Turkey because they have Champions League football with Galatasaray. Okay, so Galatasaray and Man United, come on. But let us know down below your thoughts on this one. But Group B now. Wow, we got Arsenal that has gone through in Group B, but we have a game between PSV and Arsenal and Lens and Sevilla. PSV right now in the league have 15 games, 15 wins. It's unreal what they're doing. They had Sangaré last season and Xavi Simons. They were unreal, but they're better right now with Bakayoko, with Veerman, with key players, and even a new manager. So they are going bold. What are your thoughts on this one, Breton?
Well, my thoughts are give me a Ricardo Pepi start, please. Poor kid has not started yet this season, but he has done his work off the bench, and he is learning from an insanely informed Luke de Jong. So I think because Arsenal 1, PSV 2 is already dealt with, is already done, right? They're moving on. Hopefully you do see a little rotation, but the real game is going to be Lens versus Sevilla, and that's mostly for Europa League. And you know what? I think most people in the Europa League right now are, crossing their fingers, hoping that Lens can do it, because they'd rather face a Lens than face a Sevilla, because we all know what Sevilla likes to do in the Europa League. But yeah, PSV, man, 15-15. You said it. They're still not conceding goals. They're winning games in very, very entertaining fashion. It'll be really interesting to see if they can cause any sort of an upstart in the knockout rounds, and that is very much a question mark.
It is.
It is a question mark.
It
Yeah,
is.
because the Eredivisie is the Eredivisie.
Oh, and
you
for
know?
PSV too, I think Arsenal will rotate in this game, but for PSV, it's a learning process in the Champions League. Well, they'll go through, but let's see who they're going to get in first place, because Arsenal, for sure, will be getting a weaker opponent. I think PSV won't lose this game. I'll put PSV winning. And Sevilla, I think Sevilla will be winning because Europa League is in the contention. And when Europa League is in the contention, we see the best Sevilla. So be prepared. But yes, Group C now. It's an interesting one with Union Berlin against Real Madrid and Napoli against Braga. Real Madrid have gone through. They've got 5 wins in 5 games. So this 6th one, let's see if they can win in Germany. But we have Napoli that most possibly will be going through. But it's still an interesting match to watch in Napoli against Braga.
Yeah. I mean, Braga has all to play for. They got nothing to lose in this scenario. They need a win in Naples. It's that simple. And Napoli currently are not playing well. A lot of that's because Victor Osimhen's injuries. A lot of that is also because they never found an actual great replacement for Kim Min-jae. And I think there's also a reversion to mean at Napoli with guys like Peter Zielinski and Stanislav Lobotka. I mean, these players played out of their minds on Giza last season, right? To win the Scudetto. They played absolutely so far beyond their means. It's not to say they're not great footballers, but to sustain that with a managerial change and all that is just tough. So that's why Napoli is struggling. I believe they've lost last 3 of 4 or something. They got beat up by Inter. They lost to Juve over the weekend. So Braga has a chance. So they're going to need Banza. They're going to need Horta. They're going to need every person to be at the top of their game if they want a chance to move through the knockout rounds. But it'll be fun to see him in the Europa.
Well
at the very least.
Well said with Simon Banza, a man who is the top goal scorer of the Portuguese league. That many say maybe that he's better than Gyökeres. I don't agree with that, but he's an interesting player to follow for sure. And in the goal scorer of Napoli, Osimhen is 4 games without scoring since he's come back from injury. I know tough opponents with Juve, with Inter. With Real Madrid in the Champions League, but still, worrying signs. And Kvaratskhelia, he missed an open goal shot, against Juve. That wasn't a good look by that. But Real Madrid, I just want to talk quick about Real Madrid because what they're doing is fascinating with Jude Bellingham. They didn't beat Betis, but Jude Bellingham's record right now, 18 games, 16 goals, 4 assists. He's definitely a Ballon d'Or contender. And Rodrigo in his last 7 games, look at this. 7 games, 7 goals, 4 assists. No Vini, Rodrigo Goes is there. And Bellingham last 7 games, 6 goals and 1 assist. So these people are the prolific goal scorers. And Real Madrid next season, Hendrik, Bellingham, Vinicius, Rodrigo, Valverde, Camavinga, Tchouaméni. The amount of talent is absolutely unreal. I know I missed a Nico Paz or even a Guler. So just look at how stacked they are. I think Braga won't be losing to Napoli. I think it's going to be a tough game because it's not Spalletti ball anymore. And I think Real Madrid are going to do 6-6 because this is a team that is addicted to winning. And you got to respect just that. In the Champions League, for sure. In the Champions League, for sure.
And Union Berlin, just to give them a quick little shout out in their first Champions League campaign, they have been winning as of late. So they're trying to dig their way out of the Bundesliga bottom, and what a way to continue that momentum. Than like doing something to Real Madrid. But I agree with you. I mean, the same way we do a PSV heat check, we're doing a Jude Bellingham heat check every week. And I think that's going to continue in this match unless, of course, they rotate, which they very well could. We might see Nico Paz. It'd be great to see Arda Güler in a game like this. I know he's injured still, but we'll see. Group C is not as... It's that Napoli-Braga game. That's what it's all about.
For sure. And in Group D, what it's all about is the first place, who's going to finish first, because it's Inter against Real Sociedad, and the Europa League spot with Salzburg playing against Benfica at home in Salzburg. Right, I got to say in this group, I got to give respect to Inter. My quick shout-out goes to Jan Sommer. Jan Sommer is the first goalkeeper ever to have in his first 15 games in Serie A 10 clean sheets. Why that happens? Acerbi, one of the best defenders in the center backs in the world right now. Bastoni. And if you don't know this youngster, you gotta remember the name of Jan Lagler, okay? The center back of Inter. He has got 4 appearances in Serie A, and his last was a 90-minute in against Benfica and against Udinese. Please remember the name of this center back. And my last thing on Inter is Di Marco is one of the best left backs in the world right now, for sure. The list is Theo Hernandez, Di Marco, Alfonso Davis, and Grimaldo. These are the top-tier left backs right now in Europe, balling out. I don't know who's first. Well, maybe Grimaldo with Xabi Alonso.
Ooh, I don't know. I mean, Inter is just on a different level right now. It's very, very impressive. And I know you talked about Sommer. Absolutely makes sense. And DiMarco, but Lautaro Martinez just continues. Sometimes I forget he is 26 years old. He's still got so much in front of him. He's only known one European team, obviously, since moving from Racing Club. What was that, 6 seasons ago?
True.
And I don't think people have given him maybe enough credit simply because Haaland's around and others are around. Harry Kane's around. Give him enough credit for what he has done in Serie A, and they're going to need him to do it in these later rounds of the Champions League if they want to get back to where they got to last season and, go the step further. But he is up to, with that 4-0 win over Udinese. He scored another. He's up to 14 goals this season, 8 more than second place. He's got a goal every 90 minutes, and he just became the first person or the, 29 Serie A goals in one calendar year for Lautaro Martinez, which is more than Inter legends like Diego Milito. It's more than Christian Vieri. I mean, this is some pretty ridiculous stat, not padding, but, stat announcing for a guy like Lautaro Martinez who still is only 26 years old. And I just keep bringing him up because, frankly, Alex, I never really expected Lautaro Martinez to be this good for Inter Milan.
No, and
never expected.
Lautaro was good with Lukaku. Lautaro is good now with Thuram. Lautaro was good with Dzeko. The common denominator is Lautaro Martinez. He's improving massively throughout the years, and if he gets the extension for Inter, it says a lot with players like Barella, Di Marco, Bastoni, Lautaro, all wanting to stay in a team like Inter Milan. It speaks volumes of how good they are. In a team that it needs consistency to compete against Napoli, Juve, other teams that Juve right now is Juve or Inter in the Serie A title race. I think Inter will be beating Real Sociedad, and to defend my own Benfica, come on. I know Rocco Simic is playing, a big friend of mine, but Benfica, João Neves, António Silva, I think they need a win. They need to win 2-0. In order to get that Europa League spot by 2 goals. So if that happens,
it's doable.
I won't be surprised.
I told you I'm not convinced by this Salzburg team. They have a bunch of great parts, but I'm not convinced in the sum of those parts. And I think Benfica will absolutely do it. I think they will move on to the Europa League, and they will be very, very dangerous in the Europa League. And I'm going to just give Real Sociedad very quickly their respect, because after that close loss to Barcelona, they're on a 7-game unbeaten streak. They look convincing again. Takefusa Kubo, again, is doing phenomenally well. So I really hope that Inter goes full strength for this. I hope Real Sociedad goes full strength for this as they fight for the tippy top of their group. And I think Real Sociedad has more of a chance, but I do also agree that Inter will ultimately come out on top. But Sociedad is so impressive this season.
Yeah, one of the best midfields in the world, Zubimendi, Merino, and Brais Mendes. Pay attention to that game. Group E now, I think a lot has been discussed in Group E and defined. Celtic's going to be finishing last with 1 point. Feyenoord will definitely finish third with 6 points. But what is in contention? The first place. Atletico Madrid against Lazio. Atletico with 11, Lazio with 10 points. I think Atletico will be winning this game. Pay attention to Antoine Griezmann, one of the best players in the world right now. A top 5 maybe in the world in terms of form. And Morata that keeps on scoring goals. He's a joint top goal scorer in the Champions League. And he scored this weekend, okay? So he keeps going. So I go Atletico winning and Feyenoord winning away from home and Celtic Park.
I like it. Although Celtic, come on, you're playing for pride. Get it done. Feyenoord is my biggest disappointment of this Champions League so far. I had higher hopes.
Bretton. It's not bad.
Yeah, Europa League, they should be very, very dangerous. I mean, Europa League, I think I might have my eyes more on that one, depending, like if Benfica gets in, it's going to be a fun fight to the death in the Europa League. Yeah.
Feyenoord.
I love it.
Sevilla maybe if they go through against Lyon, for sure. But Santiago Gimenez broke Luis Suarez of Eredivisie goals scored in a calendar year. 31 goals scored by Gimenez. That he's a top goal scorer of the top 7 leagues right now. 18 league goals and 3 assists. Sign him up, everyone, because he is one of the best strikers in the world, and that has a big price tag.
I'll say it, but with not just Santiago Gimenez, but also Raul, right? Getting things done for Fulham, I think they have a little striker war on hands for Mexico.
Yes.
Right? I think heading into next summer's Copa America, we're gonna see who actually will be there.
Which one?
Yeah, why? Yeah, why do I keep exactly? It is going to be very, very interesting to see which one comes out on top, or if they find a way to play both. But yeah, long story short, I agree with you. Atletico Madrid will top the group here, and I also agree with you. Alvaro Morata he looks at home.
True.
He's not Mr. miss that wide open chance, Mr. Fluff that whatever. He looks like a proper striker this season.
He's a Madrid boy.
And I think.
But for Real Madrid,
he has earned that CV this particular season so far, and they'll be interesting. Atletico Madrid will be very, very interesting in this knockout round.
It's many references.
I think they're stronger.
Many references. Koke, Morata, Griezmann, many players that are iconic for Atletico de Madrid. But now Group F, the group of death. It's not the group. It's the group of Portugal too in the Euros, but the group in the Champions League. Dortmund has gone through already with 10 points in this group, but they can still lose to PSG. Okay, which is the game Dortmund, PSG, and Newcastle, Milan, which they are all fighting still to get that second spot. It's all possible in these games, in the games week, game 6-6. Who would you believe will be going through in the Champions League with Dortmund, Breton, in Group F?
Oh my gosh. No, PSG will here. PSG will, and the only real. It's not Aiden Terzic. It's not Aiden Terzic that will keep PSG from doing it. It is Signal Iduna Park that will keep PSG from moving through. If anybody does, because I think Dortmund have been great in spite of their manager. I think Dortmund have been great in spite of their manager to get results this season. But that loss to Leipzig was completely avoidable. And I really do think he's already hedging his bets, Aiden Terzic. He's already saying, we need this to be able to compete. And there's obviously a grain of truth to that. But at the same time, who the hell cares? If you're in the running, right? If you're in the running for a Bundesliga title and you just watch Eintracht Frankfurt beat Bayern 5-1, don't get it in your heads or your players' heads that it is okay to hedge their bets. That it is okay to slip up on the last day when you could have won the Bundesliga title last season. Stop doing that. So I think they're winning in spite of their manager this season, and I'm not exactly excited about it. And a lot of it is I am bitter that he's not playing Gio Reyna. When you need somebody, just the 8 minutes he was on against Leipzig, he created multiple chances, and he's not playing them. So yes, my American bias is coming through in this particular episode, and that's why I do feel that PSG is going to probably beat them at Signal Iduna, which might actually lead to action on the front of Dortmund, because I don't think they're going to win a Bundesliga title under Edin Terzic, which it pains me to say that.
Versus Xabi Alonso? For sure not.
Yeah.
Not even the second place. But yes, I agree with you. I think Dortmund against PSG, I think PSG mandatory must go through if they have Kylian Mbappe in that team. If they don't go through in the Champions League, it's the biggest sign ever for Kylian Mbappe to say, look, even with Luis Enrique, one of the best managers in the world, this PSG team cannot succeed in the Champions League. And off to Real Madrid. That is the best thing he can do in his career. Mandatory win for PSG with Kylian Mbappe being crucial, or Vitinha, because Zaire Emery ain't there. And I believe for the third place, I will go with Newcastle, okay? Newcastle at home is a very tough team to play against, and AC Milan is a team that I'm not used to seeing in the Europa League, but used to seeing in the Champions League. So I just, it's a way of saying it. It would damage it.
I mean, last season we had it, right? With, what was that, Manchester United, Barcelona? I mean, we've had Europa Leagues, they can deliver. That's why I love this kind of tiered system. But if AC Milan goes to it, that's fine. But AC Milan needs a statement win.
That's true.
And where better to do it than St. James Park? You know, they tied it up relatively late against Atalanta, and then Luis Muriel decided to late match winner. But AC Milan is something he does. And Newcastle, you know, is tough with all the injuries right now, and they're only adding to that list. They're not subtracting from it. So I think there is a big chance that AC Milan can get a point or two. But I think I am going to say AC Milan does pull out a draw, which I believe will be not enough. Not enough to do it. So Newcastle does go through in third. Sorry, I had to check the stat.
No worries. No worries. But people, let us know your predictions until now. Group G is an easy one because Man City and RB Leipzig already have gone through, and it's going to be Red Star against Man City and Leipzig against Young Boys. I hope Man City rest Erling Haaland, because you gave that synopsis about the stress, and they can't risk a player like that. Look what happened in the Community Shield with Kevin De Bruyne. So Man City winning with Oscar Bob having a big game, and Leipzig winning with Xavi Simons being inspired playing in the Champions League, because that's where he deserves to be, in the biggest stage in football.
And Young Boys in third. They've pipped up as of late. They have more of a chance of beating Leipzig than Red Star has of beating Manchester City. Ooh. So there you go.
Well said, Breton. And Group H, which is an interesting group to talk about, because Barca, yes, it's the first time that they have gone through in the Champions League since Lionel Messi left, all because of a great rebuild with Laporta and Xavi, in my views, but no guarantees, and the way they're playing, that they're a contender to win the Champions League. They're not better than Real Madrid, they're not better than Man City or Bayern Munich that lost 5-1 to Frankfurt. I won't state that. But Vitor Roque can do something. And I want to say on Barca, in my eyes, Barcelona is the best team in the world defensively. Ronald Araújo is being massively talked for Bayern Munich, but he's one of the captains of Barcelona, and he's going to stay there. Balde, Ronald Araújo, Ter Stegen, Conde, Cancel, Christensen, and even a substitute keeper with Inaki Peña. That would be a great keeper for many teams, but he is starting where no Ter Stegen is there, and a great player he is showing to be. So keep going, Barcelona, that defensively you give securities. I think Barca will be beating Royal Antwerp. Maybe we'll see Arthur Vermeeren convincing Xavi for a transfer. And I think Porto will be beating Shakhtar. It's an essential win for Porto because they're going to go through in second. I think Barca is going through in first. Porto in second, with Evan Nilsson having a masterclass, and Sergio Conceição, one of the best managers I've seen in Portugal in the past 10 years. So keep going, Sergio Conceição in Porto, and Evan Nilsson will score in this game.
I like it. Well, I've only two things to say there. I don't necessarily agree with you that Barcelona are the best defensive team on the planet.
In terms of depth,
but but in terms of depth, no. I mean, if you're telling me Ronaldo Araujo is going to stay healthy the rest of the season, no, I can't say that. And I don't think Jules Koundé, he doesn't necessarily pass my eye test as being one of the best defenders in the world. But Balde, I don't think has been that great this season. I mean, I just
but Cancelo has. Cancelo maybe has been the best right back in the Champions League.
I feel like it's been about a month and a half in the Champions League. Yeah, I mean he's been very good in the Champions League. Specifically against who was it this past time? Was it Porto that they played last?
Balled out. Felix
balled out
Cancelo.
For sure.
One of the best games
I've
seen in Felix's career, Cancelo's career.
But I love you bringing up Inaki Peña because he has been phenomenal for them. At the same time that PSG, I think, has relied on a former Barcelona goalkeeper in Arnau Tena. So that's really interesting that La Masia, the gift that keeps on giving to most clubs. But yeah, the big game here is Porto Shakhtar for sure. And Shakhtar shocked Barcelona to get here, to put themselves in this position. And it's whether or not they can do so again, but they're going to have to do it at the Estadio de Dragao.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not entirely certain that they'll be able to do it. And Porto's got the upper hand that if it's a draw, they're through. And who knows, maybe Pep's feeling another goal. We'll see. But I am going to say Porto does move through, and obviously Shakhtar still goes through in Europa League, and it's whether or not who Barcelona draws in the next round as the group leader. That's going to be massive to find out who they get.
Okay, let us know down below your predictions on every group, because some bold things can happen in the second place, in the third place. There's still some doubts. Let us know down below, and don't forget to like this video.